On the air and streaming live on your favorite device, this is KATC TV3, Acadiana's news channel at 10.
The Lafayette City Council is forming a committee to reconsider the idea of consolidated government.
Last year, the City Council separated from the Parish Council, but now some say the separation needs to go even further. Three's on the street tonight are Katie Easter joining us from LCG with details on the committee. Katie.
Each City Council member will appoint somebody from the community to be a part of the Protect the City Committee.
I come here tonight in support of this resolution.
The public was in favor.
Motion to adopt is approved.
And so was the City Council. The issue of consolidated government will once again be considered by LCG and whether Lafayette would be better served by separate parish and city governments.
When you go to the grocery store or any store, you pay sales tax to the city of Lafayette. And that money should stay in the city of Lafayette, not nowhere else.
Councilman Pat Lewis proposed the committee, which will even consider whether Lafayette has its own mayor, separate from a parish president.
All these other 5 municipalities, they have their own mayor, and residents of the city of Lafayette cannot vote for their mayor.
I need that, so thank you. Thank you.
That's all?
That's it.
Mayor President Josh Guillory did not comment during the discussion, but when he ran for his position in 2019.
Should the mayor-president position be split into a separate City of Lafayette mayor and a Lafayette parish president?
Yes, and I will advocate for us to have a parish president and a city mayor. I believe it's important. I believe it helps us to breach a conflict of interest, a natural conflict of interest in what this new government will bring to us. And I may be the only person in America running on the platform of take power away from me.
All 7 members of the committee will be appointed on the 23rd of February during the City Council meeting. Lewis said he hopes the decision will be placed on the ballot in 2022. In Lafayette, Katie Easter, KTC TV3.
If you would like to apply to be appointed onto the committee, send your resume to Veronica Williams, the clerk of the council. You can email it to her or send it by mail. All resumes are due by noon, February 9th. Well, this is not the first time the issue of consolidation has been reviewed. In 2011, voters rejected a plan to deconsolidate by a 63-37% margin with 34% voter turnout.
KATC Investigates uncovered the woman who was killed on the Evangeline Thruway last night was a suspect in the Daisy Lynn Landry case. Devon Dufour was hit by a car while she was trying to cross the thruway near Castile Street. That crash remains under investigation. Now, Dufour was scheduled for trial today on obstruction of justice in connection with the disappearance and death of Daisy Lynn Landry. Landry disappeared in May of 2017. Her body was never found. Family members of Kuwan Charles, the 15-year-old boy who was found dead in a field last year in Iberia Parish, have released the results of an independent toxicology report. That report shows the presence of alcohol and THC. Family attorneys say they are convinced his death was not an accident. The case is being investigated as a homicide in Iberia Parish, but there have never been any arrests. The initial autopsy results showed drowning was likely the cause of death. Now, Charles was last seen leaving his father's house in Baldwin when family members say he was picked up by a friend and that friend's mother. He was found dead about 4 days later. The family attorney claims the people who were last seen with Kuwan claimed he was taking hallucinogens before leaving them. They say this toxicology report shows they are lying. Now, we have reached out to forensics experts. We'll continue to bring the latest on air and online.
Here's Bradley's 24-hour forecast.
And a weak cold front on the way a little bit later on tonight, but if you're looking for any cooler weather, don't get your hopes up. That'll stay well off to our north. Mainly just some cloud cover by tomorrow morning with the start near 50, and then that frontal boundary will start to lift back off to the north as we head throughout the day on Wednesday with southeasterly flow returning, thus another mild afternoon as high temperatures climb into the upper 60s under partly to mostly cloudy skies. And here's that 24-hour forecast here. True view look. Clouds should start to stream in by tomorrow morning with that front pushing through. We'll see a start in the lower 50s and then partly to mostly cloudy skies out there for your Wednesday afternoon as high temperatures climb into the upper 60s. Now we're going to be feeling more like early spring here through the rest of the week. We'll track those temperatures plus rain chances on their way up for late week. We'll talk about that as well coming up in just a little bit.
Louisiana's chief public health officer is warning hospitals, pharmacies, and clinics they should not not be steering their coronavirus vaccine doses solely to their own patients. Dr. Joe Cantor with the Louisiana Department of Health says the state has received reports of such favoritism. He sent a memo today to vaccine providers that cautioned any to be found discriminating in favor of their patients and denying vaccine appointments to non-patients could face adverse action. The vaccine providers could face financial penalties, limits on future vaccine allotments, and legal actions or other response from the state if found to be continuing to discriminate in their distributions. Well, now to a look at coronavirus numbers. The Louisiana Department of Health today reporting over 2,100 new cases of COVID-19 and 71 new deaths. Hospitalizations and ventilator usage are slightly up. Across Acadiana, there are 415 new cases and 16 new deaths since yesterday. Those deaths were reported in all but 2 parishes. Around 2.5 million children in the U.S. have tested positive for COVID-19 since the pandemic started. Last week alone, more than 200,000 new cases in children were reported. Child COVID-19 cases have increased 18% just over the last 2 weeks. The American Academy of Pediatrics is confirming that data. Researchers have found children are still considered less likely than adults to develop severe symptoms of the virus or even to die from COVID-19. A grim milestone in the ongoing fight against COVID-19. The U.S. has now surpassed 400,000 deaths. This comes almost a year after health officials diagnosed the nation's first case of the virus.
President-elect Joe Biden began his inaugural events tonight in a solemn ceremony to remember those Americans who've lost their lives to COVID-19. The president-elect arrived in the nation's capital, now fortified by security ahead of tomorrow's inauguration. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze is at the Capitol with the latest.
Amazing grace. Just hours before he takes the oath of office, President-elect Joe Biden pausing to honor the more than 400,000 American lives lost to COVID-19.
To heal, we must remember.
The president-elect emotional before departing his beloved home state of Delaware, mourning the absence of his late son, Beau.
Ladies and gentlemen, I only have one regret. He's not here.
Biden arriving in a Washington unrecognizable from past inaugurations. Instead of crowds, 200,000 flags lining the National Mall, while 25,000 National Guard members patrol the streets. Amid concerns of threats from inside their ranks, at least a dozen Guard members have been removed from the mission. 2 sent home after vetting revealed links to extremist groups.
Any reason that somebody's name is brought to the attention of the command, they're being removed from the line.
In a farewell video, President Trump defiantly defended his record and wished Biden well without saying his name.
This week we inaugurate a new administration and pray for its success in keeping America safe and prosperous.
Trump will not attend Biden's inauguration, becoming the first president not to do so in 150 years. And Trump is well aware that he may have to defend himself at his impeachment trial in the Senate. Mitch McConnell, soon to be Senate Minority Leader, giving his strongest condemnation of the president yet.
The mob was fed lies. They were provoked by the president and other powerful people.
And sources tell ABC News President-elect Biden will give a message of unity in his inaugural address. It's a theme that'll start tomorrow morning when he attends church with congressional leaders from both parties. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, the Capitol.
Coming up tonight, beignets before or after the gym. A tough decision some in Carencro had to make today. We'll explain coming up at 10:23.
Beignets anytime, right? Stay with us, everybody. Bradley's full forecast for where you live is coming up next. You are watching Acadiana's News Channel at 10.